Hey, gang, GeorgetownLeaders.com, Josh Wilmoth with you. I've got a question for you. Do you have a grip on your business, or does your business have a grip on you? As entrepreneurs, we're always asking that same question, and we're struggling with that from day to day. I've got an awesome guest with me today. His name's Aaron Purkeypile. He is our personal implementer, and he works with a company called Growth Guides, and he helps organizations just streamline their business operations, their decision-making processes with a process called EOS traction that I invited him on here today to talk a little bit more about. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, I guess, to kick things off, just a little bit more about yourself and how'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah, Josh, thanks so much. It's an honor to be on and to talk to your audience. Thanks so much. And also thanks for the opportunity to work with your team. You guys are killing it. I left college and joined an accounting firm, and I thought that was going to be my path. I could see myself going down the partner path. I was pretty excited about it. At the end of my first busy season, though, I saw like half of my start class leave to take other jobs. And that really didn't sit well with me. It was like, we took all this time to hire all these people. Why are they all leaving? So I took it upon myself to get a meeting with our managing partner and sit down with him and say, hey, can we clarify our vision and our core values? I really think that would help stop people from leaving. I didn't know anything about EOS. I didn't know anything about traction, but all I knew is like, there was part of me that wanted something more. And I figured that these other people that were leaving wanted it too. And he politely listened and nothing changed. And I knew pretty quickly that, that's probably not going to be the life for me. Public accounting wasn't going to do it for me. So, the next 5 years, I worked in different operations and finance roles and worked with teams to try to solve problems. I felt really kind of conflicted about kind of the roles that I was in. So then I moved back to Lincoln, Nebraska, where I had gone to college and took a job teaching accounting and finance at my alma mater, and also had the opportunity to coach men's basketball there. I got to coach underneath my head coach, and then he finally retired and moved on, and so I took over as head coach. And so it was a blast for those 5 years while I was at my alma mater, getting to coach and to teach and to just kind of spend time with college students and kind of help shape their futures. And around that time, I got introduced to a local health and fitness business in Lincoln and joined their leadership team. Finally ended up leaving, and they were kind of they were struggling. Their revenue had just kind of flatlined. Their meetings were really a waste of time. When they did have them, it was really tough for them to actually solve any problems. So we started implementing EOS, and it absolutely changed their business. We had an owner that was working 80 hours a week, and he got down to where he was able to work from home and only work 20 hours a week. He and his wife had their first baby. The revenue grew 30% year over year in just the first 2 years that we started implementing, changed the revenue mix. It was incredible to see what it did. And I was like, well, this is fun. I've got to do this. I want to do this with as many people as possible, as many business owners and leaders as possible. And so I took that leap and ended up leaving that health and fitness business and started implementing full time. And it's been a blast. It's been a journey to be able, and a lot of fun to work with a lot of different companies.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I know that from our perspective, the author of the book, Gino Wickman, who wrote Traction, I saw him speak at a conference back in 2018. Everything he was talking about made perfect sense. And I was sitting there asking myself, why in the world aren't we doing this? This makes perfect sense, from how you run meetings to how you go through problems and discuss items and make sure that there's, somebody to implement things once you figured out what that decision and that go forward is. So, took the book. I don't read a ton of books, but I took this book and I devoured it. I jumped in there and I just sat there, and I've got it dog-eared. It looks pretty ratty here. And then we self-implemented for a couple years. Yeah. We got to the point to where we couldn't grow anymore on our own, and we needed to bring in an expert, somebody that can continue to drive us and challenge us from day to day. So if you would talk a little bit more about what EOS is, what the process looks like, what you do when you go into organizations, and what that looks like within that organization. Because we're a technical company. I know you work with a lot of different verticals and things like that, but this works with everybody, right?
Absolutely. So I like to tell people that EOS is industry agnostic. So it can work. Our target market, we generally work with companies that have 10 to 250 or so employees. They're entrepreneurial companies. Their owners and leaders of those companies are growth oriented. They're open-minded, and they're more afraid of staying the same, that status quo, than actually making changes and growing. And that makes a huge difference when you actually, regardless of if you're using any other operating system or EOS, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to be willing to put some work in. They're simple tools. They're proven. It's not theoretical. These are all things that have been time tested. Over 100,000 companies, over 100,000 companies use EOS. So it's insane to see the amount of impact that these simple tools have, right? So the process for me is to usually start with either a discovery call, so just a 15-minute call, and just say, hey, tell me a little bit about your business. What are the things that are frustrating you in your business? And about 82% of the companies that we work with talk about there are people issues in their business. They have issues having the right people in the right seats, being able to consistently, and then the other part of that is probably the process piece, and consistently being able to recreate a system or recreate a process over and over and over again. And you'll see owners and leadership teams really holding on to those processes and those systems, and not have a lot of time for themselves. And then because they are the wedge, or that kind of funnel that everything has to flow through, they can't recreate themselves, and it really starts to flatline, right? There's only so much you can do when you're that stopgap. So the first thing that we do after that discovery call, we go through a 90-minute meeting, and I just kind of lay out all the tools of EOS. You'll notice here, I have my little visual. This is the best thing I can do for you right here. We're trying to strengthen 6 key components in your business, right? So the vision component, getting everybody in your business 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. The people component, getting right people in the right seats so that you can actually achieve that vision. Everybody's got, Josh, you're a visionary. You're a guy who's thinking way up here. But in order to achieve that high level vision and kind of get where you want to go, that you have to have people that are there to support you and do the things that you don't necessarily love and aren't great at.
Absolutely.
And then we have the data component right on here. So we want to start tracking the right numbers, the right measurables in a business. A lot of entrepreneurial companies just go by gut, like, hey, are we making money? I think so. We're paying all of our bills, but I'm not really sure. So we want to track the right things. And once we're really clear on the vision, we're really clear on where our people issues lie, and we're really clear on the data, right? So we're not operating off of gut anymore. The issues really start to bubble up, become really transparent. You start to see, hey, we need to get really good at solving X, Y, and Z. And so getting all those issues on a list, creating a culture where people are willing to raise their hand and say, something's not right, we need to fix it. So getting all those on a list and actually solving those. You kind of mentioned this idea of we need to identify what the actual problem is and then leave the meeting with action steps. We've all been in meetings where you spend gobs of time talking about issues and going round and round and round, repeating yourselves. And then you have to set up another meeting to have another meeting to continue talking about it. Nothing ever actually gets done. So then we have the process component, and this is what I call the least sexy component, but it's probably the most important because it drives consistency and profitability, makes it a lot more fun to go to work, lets you sleep better at night, knowing that people can do the same work that you did at least 80% or better consistency. And then finally, the traction component. This is just kind of creating a 90-day world for your company, for you and your leadership team and the rest of those in your organization to execute on your vision in a 90-day window, because that's about all that the human mind has capacity to kind of hold in there. At the end of your quarter, and you probably attest to this, at the end of that 90 days, as we're coming into quarterly, you're kind of on coast, your brain is fried. You just need a chance to kind of get up, catch your breath, look, how did we do last quarter, and then look forward to the next quarter. And then also we have the meeting pulse. So on a weekly basis, putting yourselves in meetings that are actually productive and not wasting everybody's time. So we're trying to strengthen those 6 key components, get you to 80% stronger or better in each of those 6 key components, and it will revolutionize the way that every business does business.
Absolutely. So you mentioned a brief phone call to kind of get to know everybody and get to understand some of the challenges that they're going through. Say things sound good and they want to people want to continue to learn more, what does those next steps look like with you guys?
Yeah. So if after a 15-20 minute discovery call, you're like, hey, this sounds like something that would work for me. We schedule 90 minutes. I'm going to give you 90 minutes of my time to go a little bit deeper dive on the tools that we use and the disciplines that we use in EOS and talk about that longer process, right? So this is a look at our proven process. It's one of the things that we encourage all of our clients to put together for their business, a proven process of basically how are we going to do business together so that you see results and that you're going to be a satisfied customer forever. But that 90-minute meeting, go a little bit deeper dive. You learn a little bit more about me. They're going to learn I'm going to learn a little bit more about their leaders and just give them hit them with my fire hose, talk about some of the different tools. One of my favorite tools we call the Vision Traction Organizer. It's a 2-page strategic planning document where you're going to be able to clarify who you are, what you're great at, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and then kind of bring that down into bite-sized chunks so that you and your leaders can actually start executing on towards the same goal instead of kind of floating out here. A lot of times as leaders, we think that our team knows where we're going. Like, I talk about this all the time, but they're guys like you, Josh, and guys like me who have a vision one day, and then the next day, oh, let's chase that thing, and then the next day, let's chase that thing, right? And so I kind of call it the pigeon effect, where a leader comes in and craps all over everything and then dive bombs everybody and out they go. And they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? What we talked about yesterday or what are you talking about today? So that's one of the great tools. The Vision Traction Organizer is a great way to clarify, okay, this is where I really want to go. And we're going to help use this to filter out some of the not as great ideas that Josh and Aaron have.
Absolutely. Man, it's a full-time job right there. But talking on the VTO and the Vision Traction Organizer, that's something that we did early on with you and that we still visit on a daily basis. And we look at it and we see, hey, from our core values, is everything that we're doing, does it align to those core values? Are our goals still on track from,
right,
a weekly, a quarterly, and, annual basis, and then, 3 and 5 years out. So those are things that we look at. It's not, I really get frustrated sometimes when you create this really awesome piece of work for business and then you're done with it. It sits in the drawer and you never look at it again. Absolutely. And this is a living document that we would look at and we make changes to, and things come off the list and go back on the list. And just as the leadership team talks about, different parts of each part of the business. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well, and I'll tell you, here's mine. This is my personal VTO, right? We use the same tools as an implementer. I'm going to use the exact same tools as you, as my clients do, because we believe in how powerful those things are. And I haven't gone this deep yet, but there are plenty of implementers that also have their families have their own VTO. I should say my family isn't on it yet. So I haven't gone that deep yet, but I have a personal one. And then we definitely talk about some of the same concepts. We just haven't put it on paper yet.
Yeah. Well, any entrepreneur will tell you that your spouse is so important in the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so a lot of those things that you learn about within running a business, you sometimes, take over into the personal side of things. So it makes total sense to me that bleeds over into the personal world too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the process and going through what traction is and what EOS is. Who are some folks that would be candidates for this? I mean, just any organizations, or is it, large, super successful businesses already? What tell me a little bit more about who can leverage and really accelerate their business growth and resolve some of the problems with EOS?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, I would say 10 to 250 is our target market. It can work for larger organizations. It can work for smaller organizations. I have a friend who said that he just recently started with a 2-person startup, and he was talking about, he felt bad about it because it's just these 2 guys in a room and the revenue hasn't ramped up really yet. But it's really for anybody that's ready to take their business to the next level. And so that's them individually as a leader. It's their leader, whoever they would decide is on their leadership team, kind of that core group of people that are going to help define that that vision and have the ability to execute on that and to kind of start pushing those tools down into the rest of the organization. I have clients in real estate, got clients in tech. I have a manufacturer and a millwright, and like a lot of electricians and plumbing companies, HVAC companies love EOS. Financial services, accounting, engineers. It's really any industry. The key pieces here are you growth oriented? Have you seen some success? One thing that EOS doesn't do is help you decide what's the right thing to take to market. What we're assuming is that you have the right product or service in the right market. But if you're looking for a way to kind of overcome time challenges, your revenue's stuck, you've tried a bunch of other things and it just hasn't worked, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. That's what EOS is about. It's about execution. So clarifying the vision and truly about execution, getting everybody rowing in the same direction.
Super important, especially this economy that we're in, the uncertainty of just the environment in general. I mean, there's a lot of things that can distract organizations from growing and taking care of their clients and moving forward with the mission of their organization. So
absolutely
bringing everything together and from a leadership perspective, and then your entire team to make sure everybody's is rowing in the same direction. So important nowadays.
Yeah. From a revenue perspective, all my clients have seen, a nice steady either stabilization of revenue or they see revenue increase. Generally, our clients see profitability increase, and more than that, it helps you it forces you, or forces is the wrong term probably, but it encourages you to make decisions that are reversible. Rather than kind of sitting back and wondering, like, I don't even know if I can make a decision, because you're tracking the right numbers, you have a good idea of where you need to go. And so it allows you to help make better decisions on a kind of a stair-step approach, rather than trying to feel like I have to make them all at once. And from a hiring perspective, using core values in the accountability chart that we help everybody kind of put together, and understanding the roles of a seat really helps you make better hiring decisions. So you can avoid a lot of that turnover and a lot of that. This is why I went to my managing partner's office and said, can we clarify core values? I didn't know why I was saying that yet, but that's, if you can get the right people in the organization, probably a good chance as you're growing that you're able to find the right seats for them as well.
Super important in the growth process. I mean, because one bad hire can set you back or set you in the wrong direction, and making sure that you've got that process nailed down, so you know exactly who you're looking for and what their roles and responsibilities are and how they're going to take things off your plate or somebody else's plate it's valuable right there.
How did EOS impact how you and your team did business over the last 3 years?
So our biggest thing, my biggest thing is I'm not a confrontational person. So if there was a decision that had to be made that was going to hurt feelings or is going to upset somebody or have just a difficult conversation, I would avoid it. And so what EOS really, brought that out and helped me through the process of going through those hard conversations with the right team members, to make sure that I was confident in the decision we were making moving forward. It wasn't just a gut decision. It wasn't just a reaction or anything like that. So, it helped me pull through to make quicker decisions, more accurate decisions, in order to move forward. Because what happened is these problems and these questions never went away, and people couldn't move. They were waiting on me to make decisions. And they were just standing there saying, hey, I'm waiting on Josh. And so that it has helped me remove that barrier, so that way they can go and they can implement what they need to be doing. And
did it give you more confidence in their ability to do those things?
Oh yeah. I mean, from both sides. I mean, from the confidence level, you always hear the old Steve Jobs adage, you don't hire super smart people and tell them what to do. You hire people and you tell super smart people and they tell you what to do.
Right.
Same deal, is bringing folks in that can do tech, that can do sales, that can do operations, that can do accounting better than I will ever do. and I care to do, and giving them the ability and the tools in order to, rise to the occasion. And now, that's their job responsibilities, is do some of certain things.
Yeah, we call that letting go of the vine, and it's terrifying, right? To start letting go of that kind of stuff. But your business won't be able to continue to grow. It will only be able to reach a certain point if you're not willing to start letting go of some of those things, kind of creating a clone of yourself or better, and letting some of that stuff go.
Absolutely. So why would somebody call you? So, I mean, you've got a successful business, your revenues are good, you're in a strong economy, your employees are doing all the great things. Why give Aaron a call?
That's a great point. Why does LeBron James give a coach a call? Why did Michael Jordan hire Tim Grover? Why does Russell Wilson now work with Tim Grover, personal trainer? Because you want to get better. They're entrepreneurs are people that want to continue to grow. One of our core values at EOS Worldwide and Growth Guides is grow or die. If you're not growing, you're dying. And so one reason that you would call is you're like, I think we can be better, right? We might be at 50, 60% doing okay, 50, 60%, but we want to be closer to 80%, 85%, 90%. So that's step one. We work with folks that, like you, who have self-implemented, and we work with folks that have never implemented before. This is their first introduction to EOS, and it works for both. But I think the biggest thing is, there's more that can be done in your business. You're not quite sure how to do that. Maybe you're frustrated with the way things are getting done. You're frustrated with people in your organization. Revenue is flat, or it's starting to tail off. You would like more time back in your life, some more margin in your life. I have an owner who calls it that. He's like, I just wanted some margin back in my life, from working 80 hours a day or 80 hours a week, and then being able to get to a place where he's able to spend time with his family and see them. And his wife, doesn't hate him anymore because he's home. He was married more to his business for a long time. Yeah,
there's lots of and then say that.
Yeah, and I will say the nice thing about having a professional implementer in the room is I'm not emotionally invested in your business, so I'm going to call things out in a way that other people aren't, right? And so this has happened pretty consistently in just about every team. I have one client who I set my record for a focus day, which is the first day we have together, 13 and a half hours. And it was good. Like the two of the owners had avoided conversations with each other. They'd had it on the calendar and then rescheduled several different times. And then they're just like, oh, we'll just wait until we go to that session. And I was like, well, one, it would have been really great if you had that conversation ahead of time. I understand that you held off, but I'm not emotionally invested, other than I want you to be a healthier business, right? We're looking for the greater good of the business overall, the organization overall. So I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to enter the danger. I'm not afraid of that. That's actually kind of fun for me, because when you get to the end of resolution, I just had a client recently who came in super tense and like, I don't know how I feel about traction or this EOS process. I'm not liking it. About middle of the day, we finally had that air, kind of clear the air conversation as a leadership team. And like the weight rolled off this leadership team member's shoulder, and like, man, I feel great. And, just because there's somebody that's in the room that I'm not worried about what your history is with that leadership team member or anything. Like, we just need to get to a place where everybody's healthy, cohesive, have fun together. So, if you have not been open and honest as a leadership team, but you're willing to at least have somebody facilitate that conversation. That's where it comes to being open-minded, growth-oriented. The status quo is not comfortable anymore. It's time to make a change. Those are the type of leaders that I love to talk to.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you visit us on a quarterly basis.
Yep.
And I know for the folks watching and or listening, I'd love to introduce you to Aaron and get to know him on a personal level and chat about his experiences and what they're doing in the CTTS, what he's doing in the CTTS world with our leadership team and our organization as a whole. So I know that he comes down here and visits with us on a quarterly basis. We spend like you mentioned with his other clients, a good portion of time offsite, talking through things. I'm not interested in a 13 and a half hour meeting, but if that's what it takes, then that's what we get it done. But mostly I think we're done, kind of that 9 to 5 range. And then we go have some cocktails and maybe a little bit of dinner together, and then back to the hotel, the house, and then take it from there. So
most of the time it's that 7 hours, give or take an hour. I'm not trying to make 13 and a half hours
Okay. All right.
I'm not trying to beat that either. It's not my record by any means.
Well, sometimes it's necessary though, right? You got to invest that in order to move things forward, for sure. Yeah. So just for you folks listening and watching, I invite you to keep in touch with myself and Aaron when he does come to the Austin area and chatting with us, and just kind of getting to hang out and learn a little bit more about traction and EOS. But Aaron, for those folks that, this is the first time they've heard about traction and EOS, what can they do? Can we do something for them? Can we send them a book or something? Or what?
So I don't know if you held up your book during our thing. This is the copy that I read when I first was introduced. I've got everything's underlined in here. I've got notes. I'm going through and reading it again. Reread this several times, right? And you can see behind me over here, I've got a bookcase full of books that I'd be happy to send complimentary. You don't have to, I just need an address. Awesome. I need to know where to send it. So give me a name and address. You can email me, Aaron.Purkeypile@EOS Worldwide, or Aaron at Your Growth Guide. That's AARON at yourgrowthguide.com. That might be an easier one. Spelling Purkeypile is a little rough for folks. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Give Josh a call, email him if you forget all those other things, but you're connected to Josh, email Josh, be like, hey, how do I get one of those free books? Love to send you one. No obligation. You don't have to call me after that. I'll just send you a book. It'll change your life, man. If you're an entrepreneur, an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to see your business grow, like traction, like opened my eyes. Like, it was one of those things. I'd gone to B school, and I've gone through, got my MBA, CPL, all that stuff. And I was like, I read this, and I was like, where has this been all of my life? Yeah. How come more people don't speak like this, right? It's just super practical. It's going to change the world.
Well, thank you very much for the offer to send somebody a book who's wanting to learn more. Absolutely. I'd love to do some personal introductions. So if you're interested in learning more about EOS, about Aaron, about the process, it was super easy for us to get on board with him and his team, and then really invite him into our organization and help us take it to the next level. And we've been doing that for the better part of a year and a half now or so. Yeah. So we're super happy with the decision to bring him on board and helping us, pushing us in the right direction to make sure we're doing the right things, to make sure that we're being smart with our growth and what we're trying to achieve. And hey, so we can go spend more time with our family. And the why we work so daggum hard is so we can go see our kids grow up and all that kind of stuff. So Aaron, thank you for your time today on this. Thanks for offering for the book and offering to meet with folks when you come down here to the Central Texas area. So I think it's super important. And from my perspective, I want organizations to jump into the EOS and more traction, because they're going to have more employees, they're going to have more computers, they're going to have more technology in order to manage. And so those things like that are super important to our organization, and how we keep the lights on and how we keep our family fed and taking care of our clients. So so thank you for full circle there on helping us out.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks a lot, Josh.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, give me the email addresses. We'll put them up in here. I know people can reach out to me, but if they want to hit you up directly, who do they need to call or email or LinkedIn? What's all that?
Yeah, Aaron.Purkeypile@EOSworldwide.com. Aaron at yourgrowthguide.com. Shoot me a text or give me a call, 253-888-6136. LinkedIn, Aaron Purkeypile. Yeah, hit me in any of those spots.
Awesome.
And I'll let your listeners know it doesn't have to just be Georgetown or Austin area. Like, I travel anywhere. So happy to have a conversation, Zoom call, whatever it takes. It's my mission to help as many people hear about the life-changing, business-changing tools that are in traction and EOS. So
awesome. Aaron, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. We'll definitely make some contacts and send them your way. And man, just thanks again so much for your time.
Yeah, let folks know. Don't miss out. I'm going to be in Texas at least once a quarter for a while. So
That's right.
Come have some dinner with us or something.
That'd be great. Awesome.
Thanks, Josh.
Aaron. Take care.